Hi, Rushrecap here. Today I'm going to explain a movie called Silent Hill. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Late at night in Ohio, the air is filled with tension as Rose and her husband, Christopher, embark on a desperate search for their adopted daughter, Sharon. The young girl has a habit of sneaking out of the house whenever her nightmares haunt her, leading her into bouts of sleepwalking. Rose races through the dark, ominous forest, her heart pounding with fear, while Christopher follows closely behind. The faint sound of Sharon's footsteps draws Rose toward the edge of a steep cliff. Her breath catches in her throat as she spots Sharon standing dangerously close to the precipice, her gaze transfixed on something only she can see. The child peers down into the abyss, and for a chilling moment, it seems like she is lost in a vision, a burning inferno consuming everything, with a mysterious girl trapped inside. The words "home" escape Sharon's lips in a hushed whisper, her body swaying as if about to jump. Just before she can fall, Rose lunges forward and tackles Sharon to the ground, pulling her back from the brink. At that very instant, Christopher's frantic dash across the road nearly ends in disaster as cars speed past, narrowly missing him. The tension is palpable as Sharon writhes on the ground, her small frame trembling violently as she mumbles the words "home" and "Silent Hill" over and over again, trapped in the terrifying echoes of her episodes. This isn't the first time Sharon has experienced these strange fits, but it's no less harrowing for her parents. Desperate to find a solution, Rose makes a decision. She will take Sharon to Silent Hill, the source of her cryptic nightmares, in the hopes of uncovering the truth and curing her daughter once and for all. The next morning, with the sun barely peeking over the horizon, Rose gently informs Sharon of her plan to visit Silent Hill. Sharon, however, has no memory of the night's events or of her strange mutterings while sleepwalking. The haunted expression in her eyes is enough to fuel Rose's determination. Later that day, Christopher comes home from work, unaware of the drastic steps Rose has taken. He tries calling her, but to his growing frustration, his calls go unanswered. Suspicion gnaws at him as he sits down at the computer, searching for clues. His stomach drops when he stumbles upon Rose's internet search history. She's been looking into Silent Hill, a notorious ghost town in West Virginia, known for its eerie silence and the underground fires that have been burning for decades. Fear and concern grip Christopher as he realizes what Rose intends to do. That evening, Rose makes a stop at a lonely gas station, the soft hum of the radio barely audible over Sharon's quiet breathing. Something feels off. As she opens the car door, she notices Sharon's drawings scattered across the back seat. Once innocent and whimsical, they have transformed into grotesque, disturbing depictions. Twisted shapes, ominous symbols, and an eerie cross now adorn the pages. Startled, Rose confronts Sharon, but the little girl recoils in fear, swearing she has no recollection of making the drawings. Rose's heart breaks as she tries to soothe her daughter, her mind racing with more questions than answers. Nearby, Officer Sybil Bennett, a sharp-eyed local cop, watches the interaction with growing suspicion. Inside the gas station, the clerk casually remarks that the road doesn't reach Silent Hill anymore. As Rose tries to pay for the gas, she receives an unpleasant surprise. Her credit card has been declined. A quick phone call to Christopher reveals that he has blocked the cards, insisting that Sharon's issues can be handled with proper medication and professional care, not by chasing ghost stories in haunted towns. Rose hangs up, frustrated and determined, believing that medication has failed her daughter time and again. As she steps outside, Sybil approaches Sharon, concerned about the girl's well-being, but Sharon, remembering her mother's advice, wisely avoids talking to strangers. Rose soon returns, gathering Sharon into the car as they speed away from the station, leaving Sybil with a nagging sense of unease. Moments later, while driving down a desolate stretch of highway, Rose's rearview mirror reveals the flashing lights of a police motorcycle. It's Officer Sybil, and she's attempting to pull them over. Rose initially complies, slowing the car to a stop. But as her eyes flick to a sign that reads Silent Hill, something inside her snaps. Without a second thought, Rose hits the gas, the car lurching forward as she tries to outrun Sybil. A fence blocks the road ahead, but Rose barrels through it, determined to reach the town. As they plunge into a thick fog, the radio begins to screech with static, a high-pitched whine that makes Sharon scream and cover her ears in pain. The atmosphere thickens, the world around them becoming increasingly surreal. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appears in the middle of the road, a young girl, standing eerily still. Rose swerves to avoid her, the car spinning out of control and crashing violently off the road. When Rose finally regains consciousness, the world is unrecognizable. Sharon is gone, vanished without a trace. Disoriented and alone, Rose finds herself on the outskirts of Silent Hill, a place cloaked in fog so dense it feels otherworldly. Ash falls from the sky like snow, blanketing the landscape in an unsettling silence. Desperation grips Rose as she stumbles down the deserted streets, calling out Sharon's name into the void. The town seems completely abandoned, but as Rose ventures deeper, she catches sight of a small, fleeting figure darting through the mist. Driven by maternal instinct, Rose chases after the figure, her heart pounding in her chest. As she enters a dark alley, a wailing siren suddenly pierces the air, reverberating through the empty town. The sound is ominous, a harbinger of something terrible. The darkness creeps in, swallowing the light around her as she pulls out a lighter, its weak flame flickering uselessly against the encroaching blackness. A whisper echoes through the gloom, the word "mommy" sending shivers down Rose's spine. She pushes forward, her footsteps echoing in the eerie silence until she stumbles upon a grotesque sight, a mutilated body, clad in mining gear, hanging from the fence by barbed wire. Blood drips from the corpse, pooling on the ground in a macabre display. Before Rose can react, a figure materializes behind her. A terrifying, childlike creature known as Grey Child. Its glowing form reaches out to touch her, sending Rose into a panic. She turns and runs, her breath coming in ragged gasps as more grey children emerge from the shadows, their deformed bodies glowing with an unnatural light. The alley narrows, and Rose finds herself trapped against a fence, the monsters closing in on her. They tear at her jacket, their clawed hands grasping hungrily at her. In a desperate bid for survival, Rose pushes through a door, stumbling into a building. Inside, the nightmare intensifies. Rose trips and falls as the grey children surround her, their hands pulling at her, trying to drag her down into the abyss. She screams in terror, but just as they are about to overwhelm her, the creatures suddenly disintegrate into ash, leaving her alone in the oppressive silence. Rose collapses, her body shaking from the ordeal, and soon finds herself in an eerie stillness, the sudden disappearance of the grey children leaving her breathless and terrified. The ash that fills the air continues to fall gently around her, like the aftermath of a long-forgotten battle. As she steadies herself, her eyes dart around, scanning the surroundings for any sign of her daughter. The oppressive quiet only heightens her sense of dread, and Rose knows deep down that Silent Hill is far more dangerous than she could have ever imagined. Desperation pushes her onward, deeper into the heart of the cursed town. Every building, every street corner feels wrong, as if the town itself is alive, watching her with an unseen malevolence. She clutches Sharon's locket, the only remaining connection to her daughter, and with renewed determination, she ventures into the unknown, her footsteps echoing in the empty streets. Meanwhile, Christopher, far away from the horrors unfolding in Silent Hill, grows increasingly frantic. His calls to Rose still go unanswered, and his unease turns into full-blown panic. Determined to find his wife and daughter, he begins his own investigation into the mysterious town of Silent Hill. He uncovers chilling details about its dark history, how the town was abandoned after a coal fire spread through its mines, creating an underground blaze that still burns to this day. The locals believe the town is cursed, plagued by unexplainable events and strange occurrences. Back in Silent Hill, Rose's journey takes her to the old Midwich Elementary School, a decrepit building that seems frozen in time, its hallways lined with broken desks and decaying textbooks. A child's voice echoes through the halls, calling for help, and Rose's heart races as she follows the sound, convinced that Sharon is near. She pushes through the heavy double doors of the gymnasium, only to be greeted by a horrific sight. The walls are covered in strange, demonic symbols, scrawled in what looks like dried blood. In the center of the room, a grotesque figure stands motionless, its head wrapped in filthy bandages, a large pyramid-shaped helmet resting heavily on its shoulders. The creature, known as Pyramid Head, towers over Rose, its presence suffocating. For a brief, terrifying moment, the two are locked in a silent standoff, Rose's breath caught in her throat. Suddenly, the creature moves with unnatural speed, raising its massive, rusted blade high above its head. Rose barely has time to react, throwing herself to the ground as the blade crashes into the floor, sending debris flying everywhere. Panicked, Rose scrambles to her feet and runs, her heart pounding in her chest as Pyramid Head pursues her through the crumbling school. Every door she slams behind her feels like a futile effort as the relentless monster breaks through, undeterred. It's only when Rose reaches a narrow stairwell that she is able to momentarily escape, slamming the door shut behind her and jamming a metal pipe through the handle to hold it in place. She collapses against the wall, gasping for air, her body trembling from both fear and exhaustion. For now, she is safe, but Rose knows that the nightmare is far from over. Silent Hill is a place where reality bends and twists, where the lines between life and death blur, and where her deepest fears manifest in the most horrifying ways. Still, she presses on, determined to find Sharon and bring her back home. As Rose continues her search, she encounters Dahlia Gillespie, a disheveled and unhinged woman who speaks cryptically about the town's dark past. Dahlia reveals that the town is trapped in a state of limbo, cursed by an ancient evil. She warns Rose that there are darker forces at work, and that Sharon may be tied to the fate of the town itself. The cryptic words only fuel Rose's desperation, but they also make her question how far she's willing to go to save her daughter. The deeper Rose delves into Silent Hill's secrets, the more she realizes that she is not just battling the town's nightmarish inhabitants, but also its own twisted sense of justice and vengeance. Her journey becomes a race against time as the lines between reality and illusion begin to dissolve, leaving Rose struggling to hold on to her sanity. Each step takes her closer to the heart of the town's dark mystery, and closer to uncovering the terrible truth about Silent Hill, Sharon, and herself. In the end, Rose must confront not only the monstrous figures that haunt Silent Hill, but also the shadowy figures from her own past. Only by facing the horrors within and without can she hope to save Sharon and escape the clutches of Silent Hill's malevolent grip. But as the sirens wail once more and the darkness descends upon the town, Rose realizes that in Silent Hill, not all who enter will survive, and even fewer will ever truly leave. As Rose ventures deeper into the haunting streets of Silent Hill, the thin line between reality and nightmare becomes ever more blurred. Her fierce determination to save her daughter clashes with the town's relentless horrors, revealing dark secrets that were never meant to be uncovered. Silent Hill isn't just a place, it's a living entity, one that feeds on fear, guilt, and loss. But the question remains, will Rose and Sharon make it out alive, or will they become yet another tragic story lost to the ash-covered streets of this forsaken town? As the final echoes of the siren fade away, Silent Hill reminds us that some nightmares, no matter how far we run, never really end. And that's it for this chilling recap of Silent Hill. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss our deep dives into the darkest corners of your favorite films and series. What did you think of the eerie world of Silent Hill? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've got a film or series you'd like us to cover next, drop your suggestions. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones we can't escape. See you in the next video.